This is the newsroom for today, Thursday, June 3, 2021. We're broadcasting to you on E1 Scar TV, NTN, and Tarzi TV in Bartica. In the headlines, a Maikoni East Coast Damrara rice farmer loses almost $1 million in seed paddy after his farmlands and house are devastated by flooding. A businessman wins a landmark case against the Guyana Revenue Authority. A local company is offering a $50,000 reward for employees to take the COVID-19 vaccine. And in sport, senior athletes are praised for a medal haul at the South American Championships, and Golden Jaguars' fresh faces aim to make impact in World Cup qualifiers. With the news, I'm Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for joining us. We start off by telling you that a rice farmer of Mora Point, Maikoni River in Region 5, Mahika Berbice, Narendra Itwaru, is pleading for assistance after his family woke up to knee-height water in their home and much financial loss. Vishani Raghabir has our story.
Yeah, when I wake up this morning, the whole place flood out inside by me. All the rice field, we can't plant rice and so everything flood.
That was Nafisa Etwaru, one of the flood-affected residents. According to her, the water level has not risen this high in a very long time. Meanwhile, her father-in-law, Narendra Etwaru, related that the flooding in Moro Point has led to the loss of 210 bags of seed paddy, along with several furniture and household appliances. The estimated cost of the seed paddy alone is about $945,000, since each bag carries a cost of about $4,500.
Okay, and if you lose any livestock and stuff?
Yeah.
Etwaru said that he was preparing to cultivate his next rice crop. However, the land is also flooded. He also owns a large number of goats, ducks, and other livestock which are affected. Etwaru said the diesel kept for the tractors was also washed away. Etwaru told the newsroom that while an excavator is in the area, it cannot work due to the water level. Several areas across the country are affected by severe flooding as a result of the prolonged rainfall and above normal high tide. On Monday last, President Irfan Ali visited Maikoni Creek to get a first-hand look at the situation. A visit was also conducted by Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa, who outlined several measures are being put in place to alleviate flooding in the shortest possible time. Reporting for the newsroom, I am Vishani Raghabir.
Meanwhile, the Director General of the Civil Defense Commission, Lieutenant Colonel Kester Craig, has reported that floodwaters are receding in several hard-hit communities across Guyana. And despite its receding at a minimal level, the CDC held a press conference on Wednesday explained that it is a small victory. The persistent rainfall, however, continues to hamper efforts to get the floodwaters under control. The Director General explained that reports indicate that in some communities in regions 9, 3, and 10, the floodwaters are receding.
In Region 3, there areas included Bell East, Bell West, Good Fortune, Metamizark are still flooded. The water recedes when the tide falls, but rises when the sluices are closed. A pump is deployed to Perica, and 2 irrigators are to be installed at the Dekindran sluice to assist the Tushin high flood NDC. In Region 4, there is no major reports of flooding at this time. The Ministry of Agriculture, through the National Drainage Irrigation Authority, is working to maintain all canals and drains. In Region 8, El Paso, or what is Machimari, is still underwater. The Ministry of Marine Affairs went into the area and distributed cleaning and food supplies. Residents in the mountains are also experiencing flooding. In Region 9, floodwater receded by about 2 inches, and vehicle traffic has resumed on some of the main roads, and monitoring and hump distribution continue in that region. In Region 10, water receded somewhat in Mackenzie and Wismar, but remained extremely high at Rockstone, Kukwani, and Araimo.
We tell you now that the Guyana Revenue Authority, the GRA, has lost a lawsuit over the recent classification of a Land Cruiser as a passenger vehicle, despite its arguments that its conclusion was sound on several grounds. On Thursday, High Court Judge Damon Young quashed the move of the GRA to misclassify the vehicle as a passenger vehicle, saving auto dealer and businessman Mohammed Shah Jahan some $12 million in taxes. Jahan was represented by attorney Sayan Durjan, who welcomed the ruling that the GRA and its Commissioner General Godfrey Stacia wrongfully classified the 2020 Toyota Land Cruiser as a utility commercial vehicle. In a statement after the ruling, Durjan said a judge agreed with all his submissions and made an order declaring that a classification as a passenger vehicle was incorrect, ultra-virus, irrational, unfair, unreasonable, null and void, and of no legal effect. According to Durjan, the trial judge also issued an order to compel the GRA to now classify the vehicle as a goods vehicle and to accept the $1.8 million in taxes within 7 days. The GRA was initially asking the businessman to pay taxes amounting to $14 million. The judge ordered that the GRA take all steps necessary to see to the release of the vehicle as soon as practicable and that Jahan be reimbursed by GRA for the costs of storing the vehicle at a joint finance terminal from January 2021 to the date of its release. The judge also ordered that the GRA pay the costs of Jahan's lawsuit. Residents of Sophia, Greater Georgetown will soon benefit from a $15 million state-of-the-art multi-purpose recreational facility. The project, which forms part of the Ministry of Housing and Water's Adequate Housing and Urban Accessibility Program, was referred to as the single largest investment in a recreational facility. The contract was signed on Thursday during a simple sod-turning ceremony at the facility's intended Seafield Sophia location. Shakima Day has the details.
The Minister of Housing and Water, Colin Crowell, revealed that the project is the single largest investment in a recreational facility ever undertaken by the ministry.
The construction of this multipurpose facility in this area, which forms part of the Adequate Housing and Urban Accessibility Program, this program is designed by its dynamics to improve the quality of life for residents, especially in the urban areas, by improving not only their access to housing, but the physical infrastructure in the areas. This means, therefore, facilities like this one, which will come on stream, will be built to have a better quality of life, and the children obviously here will have a safer space to play and learn.
The minister outlined that the community of Sophia was handpicked because of its potential.
It is important that you know that the interventions in Sophia are not by chance. Our government has carefully considered the needs of communities, and Sophia, of course, is no exception. We want to ensure that all the benefits for this program will accrue to you here in Sophia.
Also at the sod-turning ceremony was the minister within the Ministry of Housing and Water, Suzanne Rodriguez, who outlined that the Sophia area holds a special place in her heart. According to the minister, the construction reinforces the government's commitment to making all communities better.
I've spent 4 years walking the grounds, walking the dams, the fields, meeting people, speaking to people in the different fields, having community outreaches, one-on-ones, home to home, house to house. We've spent on the ground in this community while we were in opposition. And I've developed a relationship with the people in this community.
Pegged at a cost of $51 million, the multipurpose recreational facility will have an open view deck and bleachers, tiled floors with wheelchair access ramps, basketball court, along with solar floor lights and walkway lighting. The facility will be constructed by Dudnot Construction and Supplies. For the newsroom, I am Shakima Day.
Initially arrested in April 2021 for causing emotional distress to the Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport, Charles Ramson Jr., social media commentator Gavin Matthews was on Thursday released on $100,000 bail when he appeared in the Georgetown Magistrates Court. He is accused of publishing a video on Facebook containing derogatory remarks about the minister. Matthews, 44 of Easter Half, Charlotte Street, Georgetown, appeared before the Chief Magistrate Anne McLennan and denied that on March 25, 2021, without legal or lawful justification or excuse, he used a computer system to publish electronic data about Ramson with the intent to damage his reputation and corrupt public morale. He was represented by attorney Darren Wade, who made an application for reasonable bail. The Chief Magistrate, in granting the bail, adjourned the matter until June 10, 2021. He was charged under the Cybercrime Act of 2018. Matthews was arrested during a picketing exercise held at the Square of the Revolution in Georgetown on April 30. A local company is offering a $50,000 reward for employees to take the COVID vaccine, and Guyana is looking to strengthen its mitigation efforts when grappling with natural disasters. This is the Newsroom. With the aim of keeping its employees, their families, and the wider public safe during the pandemic, one local company has opted to incentivize taking the COVID-19 vaccine. One employee has already benefited from the initiative. Despite an aggressive campaign by the Ministry of Health to get Guyanese vaccinated against COVID-19, there has been reluctance in some quarters to get the jab. Such a situation has left companies in a bit of a quandary, as there are employees who are still not keen on taking the shot. To help tackle the issue, one local company has launched an initiative it hopes will motivate all staff to get inoculated. The CEO of that agency is also calling on other corporate entities to educate their employees on the importance of playing their part in the fight against the pandemic. Harold Hopkinson, the Chief Executive Officer of Guyana's premier security company, Secure Innovations and Concepts, Inc., has instituted a monthly lottery of 50,000 Guyana dollars to encourage his employees to get vaccinated. The process is quite simple. Employees send pictures of their vaccine cards to the CEO, the names of those employees are placed in an envelope, and the name of the lucky person is drawn. On Thursday, Chauvin Vifehouse became the first person to be rewarded and collected his check on the spot.
For me, I'm lost for words because I know Mr. Hopkinson usually give his word, but you're actually seeing his word in full effect. So for me, I'm lost for words. And at the set time, I'm distraught for the fact that Mr. Hopkinson have to go this route to get persons to actually see how serious it is to be vaccinated.
Vifehouse experienced the devastating impact of the virus firsthand, and that led to his decision to get the jab once the vaccines became available in Guyana.
For me, I have personal experience because I have in-laws that would have passed away from COVID. And I see, or I would have heard, how devastating it was for them. So when it was announced that there is a vaccine, for me, it wasn't a question whether I would have taken it or not. It was an easy decision for me because probably hadn't they been a vaccine then, they would have been alive today.
CEO Hopkinson said his company is keen on safety, and having everyone vaccinated in his employ is a clear demonstration of being a responsible corporate citizen.
And I'm imploring people out there to take the vaccine. It's not just about the COVID vaccine and the virus. It's about safeguarding themselves, their family, the general public, and everybody that they would interact with.
Hopkinson is urging Guyanese not to be brainwashed by negative information being peddled about the vaccines on various platforms. He informed that his family has taken the shot, and the aim now is to have his entire staff complement follow suit.
I hope the rest of the corporate community see it fit to take some of the profits or even put their hands in their pockets to show appreciation to the staff that have gone and taken the vaccines.
Fully vaccinated staff will get their names placed twice in the bag, and this exercise will continue on a monthly basis until the end of the year. Now, less than 12 hours after making a request to the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, Guyana on Thursday received the first set of 500 cots to be placed in shelters to house those affected by flooding across the country. Shakima Day reports.
I am very pleased and extremely happy to announce that we have just received the first set of camp cots that we requested from SIDIMA. After making a request in less than 12 hours, as a matter of fact, in less than 12 hours, we were able to receive the first set of 500 camp cots. This donation is a testimony that the regional bodies and the regional response mechanism is working effectively and efficiently. Our initial request was made yesterday to the Executive Director, Ms. Elizabeth Riley, of the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, and immediately she reached out to all the other countries, all the other participating states in the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency mechanism, and they were able to acquire a total of 500 cots. These cots were flying using the Regional Response System aircraft. So we are pleased that we have some additional cots that will be used to establish for any shelter, any additional shelter that is required.
That was the Director General of the Civil Defense Commission, Lieutenant Colonel Kester Craig, who expressed gratitude to the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency for their timely donation. These cots will aid the further establishment of shelters countrywide to assist the thousands of Guyanese who are currently severely affected by the heavy and persistent rainfall that has left several communities inundated.
We have already set up a total of 5 shelters, 1 in Region 9 and 4 in Region 10. We will be continuing to monitor the water levels in the other regions, and if the need arises for additional shelter, we now have cots that we can use to establish those shelters. So I'm extremely pleased and happy for this timely donation, and we will utilize it as best as we can to ensure that people have a place to sleep in the event that they have to be evacuated.
Shelters have been established at Tabatinga Sports Complex, Arapaima Primary and Culvert City Nursery, Region 9, and Aroma Nursery, Aroma Primary Shelter, and Kokwani Primary in Region 10. Efforts are also being made to establish shelters in Region 5 shortly. For the newsroom, I am Shikima Day.
And the Disaster Risk Management Bill, which should be presented to the National Assembly shortly, is expected to help strengthen Guyana's mitigation efforts when grappling with natural disasters exacerbated by climate change. This is according to Prime Minister, Brigadier Retired Mark Phillips, who spoke to reporters on Wednesday after touring the National Gymnasium on Mandela Avenue in Georgetown. Vishanu Raghuber tells us more.
The Civil Defense Commission (CDC) has been mobilizing relief supplies for flood-affected regions and communities at the National Gymnasium, which has become the central storage location for supplies. While visiting the premises, the Prime Minister commended the CDC for coordinating and mobilizing food and cleaning supplies for flood-affected residents in communities across Guyana, and for setting up shelters in regions 9 and 10 for those residents who have been evacuated. Importantly, however, the Prime Minister said that beyond the current crisis, efforts need to be made to ensure that the country can build better and withstand the next disaster with a greater level of resilience. It is for this reason the Disaster Risk Management Bill, which has been in the works since 2012, is important.
I have looked at the bill is being studied, and it's just a matter of time before it is put before the House of Assembly, and with the intention of passing that bill. Because I think the whole intention of the bills and all the plans is to make us manage situations of disaster or complex emergency better the next time around that we're doing now.
While noting that he does not have any criticisms of the bill, the Prime Minister said that the other ministers of government will review the bill also and share their comments. Once taken to the National Assembly, he said that other members of Parliament would be able to add their comments too.
The whole effort is that at the end of it, we will continue to see improvement in the way in which we manage disasters in Guyana. And also to better focus our disaster mitigatory projects, right? So at the end of it all, we'll be less vulnerable to the effects of climate change or any other disaster in Guyana.
The Prime Minister also related that there is no timeline in place for the review of the bill before it is taken to the National Assembly. However, he assured members of the media that the government is working as fast as possible. Reporting for the newsroom, I am Vishani Raghuber.
Still ahead on the newsroom, the newly elected president of THAG says there must be safety-first modus operandi in tourism and hospitality sector for increased tourism activity in the near future. This is the newsroom. The newly elected president of the Tourism and Hospitality Association of Guyana, Harinan Pasod, has emphasized that there must be a safety-first modus operandi as businesses in the tourism and hospitality sector prepare for increased tourism activity in the near future. Prasad, who is the Chief Financial and Marketing Officer of King's Hotel and Residences, King's Jewelry World, Bistro Cafe and Bar, and Star Computers, spoke with Newsroom's Vishani Raghubir.
What do you see your role as right now as president of TAG?
As president of TAG, one of the key areas, the role that I have, it's to keep our organization together, the members. And with the pandemic, it's affected all the operations across Guyana. It hit like a hurricane, and we are regrouping. It's going to be a safety first restart, and some operations have already been approved to restart. So we want to make sure that it's going to be safe for everyone. So we're pushing heavily on vaccinations, making sure all the employees in the sector are vaccinated. Then we're going to make sure all the safety procedures and protocols are followed. So we just want to make sure everyone gets started. I mean, the restaurants are open, and with the limited capacity, it's still a strain, but I think as more persons become vaccinated, it's going to be easier for people to come out and enjoy the regular outdoors and indoor dining again. The resorts, hotels are slowly opening back up also. So I think once the safety measures are put in place, we can continue to thrive again.
Mm-hmm. Right. Could you tell us about some of the challenges perhaps you anticipate over the next year?
Well, I think one of the hardest the problem is the return of the full tourism force. Guyana has been one of the top destinations for ecotourism, and it's just a matter of getting flights. I've seen it in some countries, and I'm very excited that, like Florida is opening up back, and it seems very normal. So I think challenges we're going to have here is just to make sure that people are comfortable and they feel safe to return. We know there's a major drive by the government for more hotels, and so this is going to take a little time. So it's just, we're still limited based on what's available, but it's just to get the confidence in people to come back out.
As stakeholders prepare themselves for the long-touted electoral reforms to be undertaken in Guyana, one private sector body has already engaged in rigorous internal discussions and is ready to make its suggestion for greater transparency in the electoral process. Kurt Campbell reports.
The Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and Industry, in calling for wide and inclusive consultations, says it is in full support of electoral reform and intends to advocate strongly for it in the coming months. Speaking with the Newsroom on Wednesday, GCCI's Senior Vice President Jerry Gavaya Jr. related that among the Chamber's suggestions is for changes to be made to the entire electoral system that will see new and emerging technology being embraced. Gavaya believes that the use of biometrics, facial scanning, and electronic tabulation will go a far way in allaying the fears of citizens linked to claims that there have been dead and migrant voting fraud at the last general and regional elections. The GCCI Vice President posited that these technologies can be inexpensive and stands to reinforce the idea of voter identity.
The good news is that our electoral system is actually very robust in terms of the voter process. To get registered, they take your fingerprints, they take your picture, they create a file for you. You have to scan your fingerprint, they check your data, they check your ID card, then you go and vote. That whole process is very robust. What we would like to see is that reinforced. For example, using things like facial scanning technology, which all of us who have cell phones and who have ever used Snapchat or Instagram at some point or the other has had our face scanned, or even unlocking your phone these days. So it's not technology that is going to be expensive, but it can be used to verify and reinforce the idea of voter identity. So we can, all those allegations of dead voters and people being out of the country essentially start to go away with the use of technology.
As the GCCI anticipates it, once the polling day activities are completed, the data should be made instantly secure and public, posted online for the world to see and scrutinize. GCCI says it intends to push for legislative change that would ensure that election agents found culpable of fraud are dealt with severely. According to Gavaya, there needs to be a review of the unilateral powers and authority for specific staff at the Guyana Elections Commission and the legislative consequence on a criminal scale for people of that nature.
And what we would like to see is legislative change. We would like to see, the act that governs GCOM start having some real repercussions for the people who hold these positions. Because being the CEO or the RO for an area, these are very powerful positions. They are literally deciding the future of our country. And those people need to be picked, selected, and approved in a much more stringent and thorough process.
To this end, the Chamber intends to propose a more stringent process similar to the one currently used for the selection of the Chief Elections Officer to be explored for the hiring of other important officials such as the District Returning Officers.
For example, to pick the CEO, yes, it's a very thorough process. You need agreements from both parties, and you need cooperation there. But from a regional officer perspective, there is nothing like that. And if you remember, the regional officer has the real power. They're the one who declare the results for the region. So they need to be scrutinized, they need to be proposed and selected in the same manner as the CEO. And that's one of the ones that we are really looking forward to pushing for.
Gavaya Jr. has also called for timelines to be imposed on appeals. He said that the Chamber prides itself with being a bipartisan organization working with whoever is in government. Stakeholders in Guyana have long urged moves to ensure the electoral system is reformed. Experiences at the 2020 elections, which led to a 5-month-long delay in declaring the results of the elections, have reinforced the urgency of this reform. Over the last few months, there has been an increase in local and international efforts towards actualizing this before the next general elections. For the Newsroom, Kurt Campbell.
As Guyana continues with its nationwide rollout of the COVID-19 vaccines, Region 6 East Berbice quarantine has been able to give more than 50% of its adult population, but Region 8, Putaro Siparuni, and Region 10 have been lagging behind. This is according to the Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony, in his daily COVID-19 update on Thursday.
As of yesterday, we had 205,944 persons who have been vaccinated with the first dose of their vaccine. That would represent about 42.3% of our adult population, and those who have been fully immunized as of yesterday would be about 72,045, which represents approximately 14.8% of our population. We have differences across the region, and in Region 1, for example, they have been able to accomplish close to 46.6% of their population. Region 2, they have been able to immunize approximately 40.3% of their population, and this is first dose. Region 3, 42.6%. Region 4, 43.2%. Region 5, 46.5%. Region 6, 50.2%. Region 7, 42.3%. Region 8, 27.5%. Region 9, 40.5%. And Region 10 at 12.4%. So the two regions that are outliers are really Region 10 at 12.4% and Region 8 at 27.5%. So we have to do quite a lot of work in these two regions. One of the challenges right now with Region 8 is the flooding that we have there. In Region 10, we've known of the persistent problem that we have there with vaccine hesitancy. So we have to continue to work. But I think Region 6 would have met a milestone here, having been able to achieve at least 50.2% of their population.
When the newsroom returns, the financial, weather and bridge reports along with sport. Welcome back to Newsroom. Now for a look at what's happening in sport. We're starting off with some athletics news. Guyanese athletes who recently competed at the Senior South American Championships in Ecuador have received praises from the Athletics Association of Guyana and the Guyana Olympic Association. Guyana copped 4 individual and 1 team medal at the championships, while several athletes recorded personal and season best. The men's 4x100 meter relay team won bronze, while Emmanuel Archibald copped silver in the men's 100 meters, Andrea Foster bronze in the women's 800, Jasmine Abrams got third in the female 100 meters, and Janae McCommon a similar finish in the 100 meters hurdles.
Every athlete who went out there did something great for themselves. There are those who would have earned medals, and those who would have given us their season best and that kind of stuff. I think Jadu did his personal best. I don't want to take away from the glory of the manager who will make a full report on the team and its performance. But once again, I must thank the Guyana Olympic Association under the stewardship of Mr. Kejuma Yasin for the kind of support that they have given to us, the Track and Field Association. And we do hope that in the future this kind of support can continue so that we can eventually give Guyana the true glory it deserves in track and field, and that it is not just medals at the Olympics, but gold medals at the Olympics. I thank you.
Our trip to Ecuador was a very successful one. We had 4 individual medals and a team medal. We had athletes achieving personal best in high jump. We have athletes Stewart in the 200 meters. In the heats, he would have achieved a personal best time there as well. We have Devon Barrington, who have not been competitively running the 800 meters for almost 2 years, going to Ecuador and proving himself once again. Even though he did not medal, he had personal best or season's best, a season's best. Our team was very successful because the entire team went out with a plan. They went out with their goal. Managing this team was not a very difficult task because each individual athlete had a personal goal that they would have set for themselves going into this game. So my task as a manager was just to ensure that they were in their events on time, made sure that they were comfortable in their environment, both at the hotel and at the track. And they just went out there and they executed what they had in their plans.
Going into the event, I felt at home there. Though I was meeting some of the athletes for the first time, I felt like I knew them from. So going into the event was comfortable, and throughout it was a great experience. I'm grateful for the opportunity. And I'm ready to go again. Big thank you to Mr. Hudson and Mr. Yuman Yasim for believing in the Team Guyana. Also on behalf of myself and each and every athlete, including those overseas-based athletes, I want to say thank you to Guyana for supporting us. A big shout out to the 4x1 team. I think the experience that we have gained there can only propel us to do better. The aim was to attain the gold medal. However, due to slight mishaps, we were placed down to bronze, which is still, in my book, a very good accomplishment, seeing this is our first major 4x1 representing Guyana.
Well, my experience in the 800 meter, it was good. As Ms. Kenisha mentioned, having not competed at a high level for almost 2 years and going out there and achieve just outside of my personal best was a good stepping stone for me. It shows that, as Mr. Hudson would like to see, age is just a number. And I want to again thank the age for having the faith in me, for having shortlisted me. I want to thank the Guyana Defense Force for stepping in at a timely manner in getting me to Ecuador to compete and showcase my talent for my country, Guyana.
My compliments to Mr. Hudson for really pushing, enduring, and ensuring that this team goes to Ecuador. I know other members of the Athletic Association are still trying to qualify for the Olympics. I wish them well. And I want to say that any athlete who qualifies and who goes on their own to any meet to qualify, once they qualify, the jury will cover their expenses.
Football news now. Golden Jaguars midfielder Javier George and goalkeeper Akhil Clark are hoping that they can step up and perform at their best as the team enters 2 must-win matches in the CONCACAF qualifiers for the 2022 World Cup. Newsroom Sports spoke to both players before they departed on Saturday.
My name is Javier George. I was born in Berbice in January 27, 2001. My position is a midfielder. This is my second time playing for the Golden Jaguars. I started at the under-20 level. I play football in France and I came from Canada. So now I'm here to put my inputs into the team and put my qualities and use the coach's tactics to do the best of my abilities. I find that I'm fitting in very well, adjusting very well with my teammates. The coach is adjusting me in very well too. It's a professional environment, so that allows me to adapt coming over from France. That's one thing that's a great surplus when it comes to training within this facility. Everyone's competing very hard. Determination, focus, all these various things are all things that we live by when we come to the field. We know that we have to have discipline, doing things that we love, playing football, of course, you know, listening to the coaches, performing very well onto the pitch and all these things. So it's very important. It's a wonderful experience. It's a blessing to come back to your home country and to give back to the people itself, right? To be able to put on this this jersey right here, you know, and represent your country. It brings honor to not only yourself, but your fellow countrymen and also your family members and whatnot, right? So it's honestly just a blessing, and I'm thankful for the opportunity. I think that the team is very determined. We work very hard, both individually and as a group. I think one of the most important things is to focus on what coach is trying to implement into our training, right? To perform into the games and do everything to the best of our abilities. I think that's the most important thing. And if we're able to deliver that, I think we can see some great results.
For me, I think it's the togetherness. You know, for the the COVID-19 and stuff, we was away for long. So the first two games we were now coming together. I think the two games we played wasn't up to Guyana standard against Trinidad and the Bahamas. I think going into these two, we're going to be much more high confidence, and the guys going to be more eager to go out there and give a better performance. As a goalkeeper, to make it easier or to always be in the game, you need to communicate. So you need to always communicate with your defense and at least pass it on to the midfield just to keep yourself in the game and to keep moving. Yeah, well, with the program now where we have the week out training, I think it's going to give us a better chance because normally we come together like a week or 2 weeks before a tournament. So now we're training together and with the guys that coming in to add, I think we have a better chance of showing a better performance and going out and do better. The Gold Cup opened a lot of doors for me, and I think it would be much better too for other players, like local players from Guyana. I'm not saying local against overseas, but local Guyanese players to have a better window. Because I think they don't have much agents and stuff looking down on the Guyana League and stuff. So when the guys go out to play like Gold Cup, World Cup qualifiers, there's a lot of eyes there, you know, looking down on us. So that is where the opportunity opened for us to get outside and to, you know, get what we deserve.
Some cricket news out. Jamar Hamilton 11 defeated Jermaine Blackwood 11 by 3 wickets in the West Indies best versus best 4-day game in St. Lucia. Chasing 3-11 for victory, Hamilton 11 resumed on 2-18 for 4 and achieved the win with 7 wickets down on the final day at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground. The victory was set up by a splendid 95 by opener Kieran Powell on day 3. He received solid support from Ruston Chase 45 not out, Shamar Brooks 39, Shane Mosley 36 and Raymond Reefer 32. Raheem Cornwell took 3 for 39. Final scores in the match: Blackwood 11 264 and 224, Hamilton 11 178 and 313 for 7. Here's what Powell had to say at Stumps on day 3.
Good evening, Karen. Firstly, congratulations on a good knock today.
Evening, thank you.
Firstly, just talk us through that knock. What was the thinking when you got to the crease and how you applied yourself during that innings?
I wanted to just spend some time at the wicket. Obviously, having seen the pitch from the first innings and how it's improved over the days, I think that right now is the best time to bat on the pitch. So I just wanted to give myself a chance. Obviously, we started just before lunch, so the first objective was to get to lunch and then come back. But I thought that once I got in, I was pretty much in control, and I think that I've been batting well for a period of time now. So I just wanted to maximize on that.
And where do you think this knock leaves Team Hamilton in the grand scheme of the game?
I think we're in a good position. We need 93 runs for victory tomorrow morning. So, well, tomorrow, it doesn't have to be tomorrow morning, but hopefully, the guys can come back tomorrow again, get themselves set. We've got good batters in the hut still as well, but hopefully we don't need them. The guys can get themselves set and pace it throughout the day and get 93 runs.
And while winning the game is the immediate focus, obviously this is basically a trial match for places in the West Indies team. Where do you think that knock leaves you in regards to selection?
I'm not sure where it leaves me, but I would hope it's a position of strength. There's only been 1 century in the match. I think this is obviously the second highest score, if I'm not mistaken. So hopefully I can get into the squad, and then we'll take it from there. But I've been wanting to get back into the team for some time now, and obviously spending time and showing application. I'm hoping that there's some reward for that, hopefully.
Thanks, Karen. Good luck.
Thank you.
The game was the lone bit of competitive match preparation for West Indies, who faced South Africa in the first of 2 test matches starting June 10 in St. Lucia. The West Indies squad for that series will be named in the coming days. More details on the best versus best game are available on our website, Newsroom.gy. Now, England made strides towards a first test fight back on an entertaining second day against New Zealand at Lord's. The home side recovered from 18 for 2 to close and won 12 for 2, 267 run behind New Zealand's 378. The tourist total included 200 from Devon Conway, who became only the 7th man to make a double century on test debut. While Conway was unmoved, it was a fine effort by England to take wickets at the other end, at one stage claiming 4 for 6. They were inspired by the energy of Mark Wood, who produced a spell of 3 for 7 to earn the rewards his wicketless first day deserved. Debutant Ollie Robinson, a day after apologizing for historical racist and sexist tweets, picked up 2 more wickets to end with 4 for 75, while James Anderson took 2 for 83. England were teetering when Dom Sibley was dismissed without scoring and Zach Crawley for 2, only for Rory Burns to make 59 not out and Joe Root an unbeaten 42 in a 3rd wicket stand of 93. And finally, in sport this evening, Tokyo 2020 President Seiko Hashimoto is 100% certain that the Olympics will go ahead, but warned that the Games must be prepared to proceed without spectators in the event of a coronavirus outbreak. There are 50 days until the delayed Tokyo Games begin on July 23. Japan is dealing with a 4th wave of the coronavirus cases, with 10 areas of the country under a state of emergency. No international fans will be permitted this summer at the Olympics or the Paralympics, which begins on August 24. A new wave of infections began in April in Japan, where some areas face restrictions until June 20. The country began vaccinating its population in February, later than most other developed nations, and so far only about 3% of people have been fully vaccinated. Hashimoto said it was a very painful decision to have no overseas spectators present, but one that was necessary to ensure a safe and secure Games. And with that, we've come to the end of the news for this evening. Of course, you can find updates on these and other stories on our website, Newsroom.gy, our Facebook page, and Instagram. On behalf of the entire news team, my name is Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for watching, and here's a reminder for you to stay safe and get vaccinated.